Actually, I'm going to bring up some important things about the Kshatriyahood, because people that are starting war against people in society are sometimes calling themselves Kshatriyas or warriors, right? But meanwhile, there seems to be a big difference in what they're saying and what the truth is. So we're going to start here because actually the laws that are governed today are from Hinduism, a lot of them. So in the context, it also primal to analyze the extent to which the concepts in Hinduism have helped in the development of international humanitarian laws. The focus is to limit the suffering caused by war. The Bhagavad Gita links Chaturvarnya, the four orders, or the four-class system in society, to Swadharma, an individual's duty, Swabhava, inborn nature, and Guna, a natural tendency. The Kshatriya, or the warrior class, based on the Kshatram Dharmam, was in charge of the protection of the society by fighting in wartime and governing in peacetime. The Swadharma of this warrior community was to serve the country by participating in the war. Nevertheless, the elite warrior class followed the path of Dharma righteousness and was fully aware of the qualities of chivalry and nobility without inflicting an iota of damage to the principles of humanity. So it's not like you can just do whatever you want and say, I'm a Kshatriya. I can kill people. I'm grievous. I kill families. You can't say that. You can't say that. That's not the rules. Okay, that's not what it is either. You're making things up. It's a demon. It's a demonhood. Okay, the rules that govern a Kshatriya conduct were broadly divided into Sadharma, Swadharma, general principles. Special rule. Okay, Swadharma, general rules, and Swadharma, special rules. The primary significant cause of a warrior was pragyanam rakshanam, to defend one's country and be attached to the worldly pleasures that might be detrimental in defending the state. So this is what we have here. People that want to enjoy, want to abuse power, rob people, plunder things, and then call it doing it for women. We're doing it for women, they say this to me, for you're messing with my my honeycomb, married men. And we've seen this in the department. What happened? You had people that are supposed to be defending our country are having they're having extramarital affairs and trying to kill officials. This happened in America not long ago, and this is called a subwing of government that's not supposed to be happening. And this is why I'm being attacked and other people are being attacked, because our government is not functioning like there should be. You understand? And this has to stop, because people need help. You know what I mean? We can't. You got people out there that are really worried about their health right now, and people like me getting attacked by nefarious individuals. I can feel them right now. They're attacking me on my back right now. Okay, as I'm talking to you, somebody's pulling on my head. That shouldn't be the case ever. So we need some help, government. This is not fair. Look at that, 32. 32. That's extremely high for this system. It's almost next to what he called. So the laws of war that existed then were based on the dictums mentioned in the sacred texts, primarily in the Dharma Sutras and the Dharma Shastras. These texts codify the laws that govern the waging of wars and the moral precepts, thus paving a way for the inception of the international humanitarian laws. The modern humanitarian laws date back to the middle 19th century, but in reality they root in the tradition of Sindhu Valley, particularly the issue of Dharma Yuddha, Adharma Yuddha, declaration of war, special privileges in Hanuman as Dut, messenger. In the Ramayana, the concept of Dharma Yuddha is one of the strong pieces of thread that connects the Sanatana Dharma and the ethical aspects of war evident to the epics of the Mahabharata Ramayana. So the Mahabharata is 5,000 years ago. The Ramayana is about over 1 million years ago. The connection can also be found in the Rig Veda, in the Manusmriti, and the Kautilya's, and the Artha Sastra, although it was considered initially that the source of the Hindu law of armed forces was in the Upanishads. Okay, so Kautilya, all right, is one of the sastras of the Kshatriya codes. Being a shrewd pragmatist, emphatically stressed the need for kind treatment of the vanquished people and their princes. He promised them security of their cattle and reinstatement of those who were possessed of good treasury and army. an efficient propounder of policies for the king, Shukra, went a step ahead and laid down salaries and allowances for the defeated princes and their dependents, and he recommended leaving them by fixing the quantum of tribute. So it's not like you have war and then you have to keep on having war and hating people and utilizing those people and savaging them. Whoever is telling these people to do that are wrong. These are not the ancient laws of this world. Before anything had come about, for any Western scriptures or people have indoctrinated anything, these were the laws. These are the actual laws that make sense, because we're not here to ravage people or ravage unarmed, civilians and soldiers. You can never be a Kshatriya and do that. Okay, you're a demon if you do that. If you see, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to let people go when it's over. That they're vanquished, right? So you vanquished them. You defeated them, whatever it is. You're supposed to let them go and actually give them salaries. It says it right here. So these notions or ideals followed by the ancient political scholars can be traced to the Geneva Convention of August 12, 1949. As for the kind treatment of the vanquished people of their princes, Part 2 of the Geneva Convention relative to the treatment of prisoners of war can be associated. Part 2 of the same deals with the general protection of prisoners of war, and specifically Article 13 regarding the humane treatment of prisoners. So we got all this here right now. So you understand, the Geneva Convention covered this already. You can't do this to people. You can't hold them hostage with a device. You can't attack people because they're Christian and you think you're at war with them in your head and you have some intel badges. You can't do that. You're doing the wrong things, and the international community needs to step in and stop this already. Okay, stop giving people crazy stuff and diseases and all these things, because it's not cool. It's definitely not, and it's against the laws. It's against the laws of humanity. It's against the laws of God, and you're going to get bad karma for it no matter what you do. The ancient literature annotates that where submission was preferred, a quarter was readily given. The people of the country permitted to exercise on their own creeds and laws, and natives were sometimes placed in a responsible situation of the government. If the term quarter used here interpreted this in the terms of money, it can be linked to the Part 3 section of the dealing with financial resources, prisoners of war, specifically Article 58 regarding ready money in terms of quarter interpretive conditions. It can be linked to Part 3, Section 2, Chapter 2, dealing with the quarters, foods, and clothing of prisoners of war, and specifically Article 25 regarding quarter. So the rule of international humanitarian law not to attack civilians during warfare is similar to the purport of Manusmriti. So you can't attack civilians ever as a Kshatriya. Okay, Manu lays down that one who surrenders or is without arms or is sleeping or is naked or with hair united or an onlooker non-combatant must never be killed, irrespective of whether the opponent was a believer or an Arya or a Yavan, alien non-believer, or whether he was fighting a just war or not. It can be well understood from the rule that the civilians, prisoners of war, and the warriors who are unprepared can be covered under the rule cannot be killed. So this is a good point. So even if there's miscreants out there like trying to kill me right now or trying to hurt me with their weapons, right? I can feel it right now. They're straining on my head. So even these guys, the real Kshatriyas, even if hopefully they stop them, right? And they say, you're not the untouchables after all. You're just regular people, like we all knew you were. And we say, you can't do this anymore. We're not supposed to kill them because we're still supposed to hold up humanitarian laws. You might give them some punishment, some time out, some detention, or some reform, education, training or something. That's what I usually recommend. But you can't kill them. You can't be like them. You know what I'm saying? Two wrongs don't make a right. So that's the idea. The Kshatriyas have to keep their code. You can't, become maniacal like them. According to Manu, persons walking on the road, not participating in the conflict, or mere travelers, or those who are engaged in eating and drinking or pursuing their special avocations or activities or diplomatic errands, and of course the Brahmins, unless they are engaged in war, were not to be killed. This can be traced to the Geneva Convention relative to the protection of civilians, person in time of war of August 1949, Part 1, dealing with the general provisions and specifically Article 4 regarding the definition of protected persons. The practice of taking prisoners of war dates back to the Aitreya Brahmin, which records 10,000 women prisoners belonging to the wealthy homes were brought from the countries and bestowed upon the Brahmins in the token of the conquest of the quarters. The practice was universal and was known as the Hittites and the Hittites and the Assyrians. A large number of the prisoners were used to be put to the sword even during the Vedic age. If maidens were among the prisoners of war, they were courteously treated and were induced to marry persons of the conqueror's choice. If they declined, they offered to send back to their homes under escort. Hospitality or sacredness of the refugee, the law forget kindness of herd and not be refused to fight challenge or some features of the fair fighting according to the epic code. This much is similar to the Geneva Convention relative to the treatment of prisoners of war, 1812 and 1249, Part 2, dealing with the general practice of protection of prisoners of war, specifically Article 14 regarding the respect of the persons of prisoners. So basically, that's the, if there's a real war, people actually get up and fight, and then the conquered groups, there's civilians left over, and then they're kind of like, hey, what do we do now? Our kingdom is dropped, our function is dropped, we don't have anything, we don't have anyone to protect us. They would naturally go along with the rulers, right? That happens in society still. But still, they're supposed to be treated nicely, married in and etc. So there's humanitarian ways to do things that we have in this world already. So we can't let an uprise of the Pandora's box, I call it now, and letting these people derail everything and make a gremlin society where everyone's destroying each other, and you got people torturing others now with AI and satellites. There has to be a complete stop on that already, government, because it's against the war. It's not Kshatriya, okay? There's no such thing as you're a Kshatriya and you have to kill somebody and you're so offended. Oh. Okay, yeah, you're supposed to go to sit down with that person and discuss what can be done. If you can't come to an agreement, you're supposed to go outside like a real man and do something, right? Like whatever it is, whatever you agree on it. Could be boxing, could be showing archery, could be strength wrestling. If you're that serious, back in the days they had duels. With the gun, with the one shot, boom. Who can get who first. That was part of American history even. What to speak of what it should be today. Today should be a very honorable thing. So we can't have a maniacal little twisted group that wants to hide everywhere and be scared of everybody, but then they want to kill everybody because they argued with them, and then because those people have good qualities and they're another religion and race. Okay, you can't have that. You can't have that in this government. You can't have this in this world. It is ridiculous. It is nefarious. It is envious, and it's demonic. Please stop it, government. Please stop these people from harming me and others. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve to be treated with death rays or with machines in our bodies or whatever else it is. Okay, please tell them to take it out and do the right thing, government. It's nobody else is there. The thing is, you're pushing everybody now to defend themselves, right? And that's not a good thing, because then you can't turn around if people do uprise and do something. You can't turn around and say they're wrong. They're wrong for doing that. No, you're pushing people to their death. You're allowing other people to push people towards their death. Literally. Okay, this group is very maniacal. They don't know what they're doing. They're not Kshatriyas. They're acting like demons. So you have to say, no, you're not Kshatriyas. You're not fighting a war. You're against the law. You're against the Geneva Convention. This isn't the right thing to do. It doesn't matter what your ideas of what right is right and what is wrong. You have to do what is right. And that's what I'm calling upon you guys, to set the scale and do what is right, because it's not fair. It's not fair that you, up till now, or up until recently, you want to change everything, because now there's a group that is just too sick to be normal, and they want to spy on people and hurt them. That's not fair. Okay, it doesn't matter what they call themselves, Illuminatus, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You have to do, what is right for Americans. There's more Americans that want to do what's right than wrong. So always consider that and never go along with the wrong.